Stranded Australian coal. Let's have a look. Hello everyone, Florian.heise here and welcome to another episode of HeiseSays. Grab your stein of coffee because I'd like to have a look at this article from the Australian which is discussing coal stranded in Xinjiang as the trade dispute between China and Australia worsens. Now we've looked at this several times of China banning Australian products, adding tariffs to other products, investigating certain products. Now coal. Before we go through this, let's learn a little bit about coal. We'll jump over here. This is a Google Earth map, and what I've added is the operating mines from the Australian Mine Atlas, and this is as of 2014. So obviously they're new mines, some have been closed, but this is the easiest data I could get to represent quite easily. Look, we'll turn them off and we'll turn them on. You can see here the east coast of Australia. This shows you where coal mining is and which mines or which states are going to be impacted by, well, reductions in coal trade. Queensland and New South Wales certainly will be. Now, I've actually worked on coal mines. Now, by saying worked on coal mines, I mean as an architect sitting in my cushy, unair-conditioned Queenslander because I'm too bloody cheap to pay for air conditioning, and designing them for Daunia and Caval Ridge. They were the two big ones. Lots of proposals for many other, but the two big ones were Daunia and Caval. And I actually flew up there and had a look, and they're going real well. It's quite good. It's impressive, the scale of these operations. Now, let's look at, we'll go here. This is the Observatory of Economic Complexity. This is our nation, and you can see here coal is 23.1% of our exports, $57 billion, roughly equal to our international tourism. Now, where are we exporting that to? To India, 25.1%. So all the greenies that are trying to destroy our relationship with India, thanks to Adani and others, well, you've got to be careful because we might be losing another one. China is 18.6% at the time of this data, while Japan is 24.1%. So you can see here, if we lost China, that would be a significant dent to our coal exports. But where is China getting their coal from? Let's jump over here and we can see, I've brought up China and we can see here, this is coal. They bring in 19.2 billion, 1.19% of their imports. Now, we are the biggest source, 55.1%, but Mongolia here is at 14.3, nearly equal to Indonesia. Now, there is somewhat of a construction and resource boom happening in Mongolia. I've talked to engineers who've wanted to actually do construction projects here in Australia that were working over there. I bet Mongolians who'd immigrated over here and were, still discussing the boom back home. So Mongolia is a little bit closer to China than Australia, just for memory. So there may be some transportation advantages if, the railways and logistical issues are addressed. So that's another thing we need to keep in mind. Maybe Australia's day as one of the biggest coal exporters or destinations of coal for China is drawing to a close, and they're using all this political rhetoric and posturing as a way just to send some clear messages. Perhaps we'll have to see. But the problem is, once again, another one of our sectors is highly dependent on one destination or one client. Not as bad as Rock Lobster, though. Definitely not as bad as Rock Lobster. They've got 80% going to China. That's insane. So, Australia's rocky trade relationship with China has taken another hit, with data showing all of the 20 giant ships held in the Chinese port of Xinjiang contain Australian coal, with the majority stuck offshore since June. 15 of the ships have been anchored since June at the northern Chinese port, one of the key hubs for Australia's metallurgical coal used to make steel. The remaining 6 ships have been stuck for at least a month, according to the shipping data analysis analyzed by Bloomberg. The ships haul between 2 to 3 million tons of coal, and all of the vessels departed from Australian ports, with 9 from the BHP-owned Harry Point Terminal in North Queensland, 8 from Gladstone Port, and the remaining 4 from Dilrup Bay Coal Terminal. 2 of the ships that departed Hay Point have been stuck in Xinjiang since the first week of June, with the bulk of the Australian carriers arriving in the subsequent weeks of June, and several of the bigger ships holding 174,000 tons of coal on board, Bloomberg data shows. The Xinjiang port is also where Chinese authorities have prevented an Indian vessel packed with Australian coal from leaving Chinese waters, even after Japan agreed to purchase the blacklisted coal to end a more than 5-month standoff. There you go. If that doesn't send a clear message, what else does? The bulk carrier containing 160,000 tons of coking coal has been turned into a floating prison, according to the National Union of Seafarers of India. The stranded Australian coal shipments are likely to hike trade concerns between the two countries amid a broader diplomatic scuffle, which has seen China embark on sweeping trade retaliation campaign, banning timber and looming restrictions on wine and lobster exports and barley. And there's also some beef in there as well. The fallout has also extended into Australia's gas industry after Woodside Petroleum revealed Chinese buyers axed a potential deal to buy a stake in its $16 billion Scarborough gas project amid trade tensions. Resource Minister Keith Pitt has sought to reassure the sector that spending will return to the industry. China's coal imports in October plunged by 47% from a year earlier, reflecting strict import quotas and raising fresh concerns over the outlook for one of Australia's biggest export earners. Now, here is another consideration. Previously, we've looked at just the pollution levels above China as an indication of a return to economic activity. And while there are claims coming that the economy has bounced back robustly and we're seeing footage of all this activity, is it real? Could this be a combination of political posturing to send Australia a clear message, but also that demand has drastically plunged? Australian coal producers now face a wait until detailed China trade data is released in November to assess whether it has been the subject of bigger cuts than its competitors. Earlier indications hint that Australia coal may have taken a bigger cut than other nations, with China's imports from Australia in October falling 62% on September levels, according to Refinitiv shipping data cited by Reuters. The Morrison government has trod a cautious diplomatic line over the mounting trade tensions. Australia's ambassador to China, Graham Fletcher, said nations must adhere to international rules and their World Trade Organization obligations. Does China even adhere to any of those rules? Guys, I thought that didn't happen. I thought it was a bit of a joke to expect that they were. Anyway, when trade is treated as a political tool, we all suffer, Mr. Fletcher said on Thursday, according to Bloomberg. Trade Minister Simon Birmingham on Thursday said Australian authorities had contacted their Chinese counterparts about the stranded Indian seafarers. It is unacceptable for such uncertainty to exist over such a long period of time that effectively leaves sailors stranded at sea, Senator Birmingham said. This isn't just a trade issue, it is an issue about respect and regard for the well-being of the individuals, he said. You're dealing with China, mate. What do you expect? Individuals don't matter in a socialist society. China's Foreign Affairs Minister said China had been providing convenience for the sailors involved while complying with its COVID-19 port restrictions. At a daily press briefing in Beijing, Foreign Ministry spokesman Wang Wenbin on Thursday said the reason China-Australian relationships were strained was very clear. Mr. Wang said the Australian government had repeatedly spoken and acted out of turn on Hong Kong, Xinjiang and Taiwan, had accused China of engaging in so-called intervention and infiltration activities in Australia and created barriers to normal exchanges and cooperation between the two countries. Well, if you do that, guys, you've got to make sure you're not completely dependent on the other nation for a lot of your exports. Sadly, we're in a situation now where our economic complexity is so low, many of the modern conveniences that we enjoy, we can't manufacture. What would happen if Australia was cut off from the world, everyone? In order to get out of this predicament, the key lies in Australia facing squarely the crux of the current setback, looking at China and China's development objectively and rationally, handling bilateral relations in accordance with the principles of mutual respect and equal treatment, and doing more things conducive to enhancing mutual trust and promoting pragmatic cooperation between the two countries, the Foreign Ministry spokesman said. Let him who tied the bell on the tiger take it off. One's fault should be amended by oneself, he said. Well, that's one advantage of old cultures. They have the best metaphors. What do you all think, everyone? Where do you think this is going to end? Do you think Australia will take the bell off the tiger, or are we going to reap the consequences? And how will our economy handle it? I wonder. We'll have to see. As always, let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comments down below. Please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. If you're a fan and want to support the content I create, there are a few ways you can. You can join us on YouTube or Patreon. You can support us using our affiliate links at Amazon, eBay, Independent Reserve, or Kucoin. You can buy a merch from HeiseSays, use Gold Pass from the Perth Mint, or support us via PayPal. Take care, everyone. Have a great day. I'll see you next time.